Oh yes, legends. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing great today. We have new information, new possibilities, and new opportunities here on the market. Much love to everybody. Make sure to destroy that like button. Let me go quickly through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community right away. Much love to everybody. Hello, legends. Much love. Bitcoin, new information, new scenarios, new possibilities. Okay, so we'll be breaking down that, of course, in today's live stream. Beautiful rejection from yesterday at the $70,300 zone, okay, where we did end up forming that double top, sweeping up those higher lows where we have that high volume gap. This did come to fruition yesterday. It played out very nicely, as you can see here on the chart. Of course, you know, we were looking for that possible move down to sweep up those higher lows. That was the projection. Great risk management, great stop loss on the reaction wick, and coming down to the overall main target here, which is sweeping up those higher lows after the high volume, right, the high big price action movement to the upside. This played out very nicely and brought some interesting profits, of course, throughout the last 24 hours. So now overall, I'm in no new trade position. It's been relatively slow also in the trading community. I would obviously point out now that the price action has played out that we formed a little bit of a textbook, 5-wave move to the downside, 3-wave move to the upside to get above that lower high. We actually like this zone for a potential short, right? 5-wave down, 3-wave up. You know, I would have said I didn't get into this short. I'm happy with the short that I'm in currently at the moment. And, if I would have said the opportunity today would have been here, we're looking at a possible impulse down and a correction for another leg to the downside. However, this movement to the upside was a little bit shallow, and now we're claiming the low. So with this new information, we need to get some plans ready. That's what we're going to do on this live stream. Okay, guys, we'll be getting some scenarios ready. There's no rush. There's opportunities every day or every other day of the week, right? We try and spot them. We figure out the waves, the levels, and where we could have the highest probability trade, because those are the trades that we want to get into, right? No rush for trading. There's no rush. Let's say hello to the wonderful community here. And we'll crack on with the charts, okay, in the next coming minutes. Much love, okay? Thanks for joining today's stream and smashing up that like button. I got some few comments yesterday. Nice likes. Seems like people want to still see me around. So I will stick around, of course, with the education, okay, as well. We love this. We love trading. We love analyzing. It's absolutely awesome, guys, if you know how to do it correctly. It's just... I really enjoy trading, as you can see, and doing the technical analysis and spotting those opportunities. However, here on YouTube, the content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision. Said that, let's dive in quickly through the comment section as we get some people in, people smashing the like, leaving the comments. Okay, we'll start off a little bit with the comment section. The overall question right now for Bitcoin is, do we have multiple 1-2s building up? Okay, I'm going to go with the most aggressive bearish case and the most aggressive bullish case scenario, unless we continue the range for a few more weeks. I mean, that would be tiring, but overall it's a possibility. Do we have 1-2? 1-2. We are ready for the breakdown in the next coming days in that aggressive wave 3 to start getting to the low 60k levels, right? Even below 60k. Or is this a corrective structure? No 1-2. It's a 3-wave structure. Do we have the chance here of having a 1-2, 1-2, right? And we form a higher low, preferably from 66.5k, which we're not too far away at the moment. And we end up recovering here throughout the next coming days. This is going to be the main topic of today, and we'll be analyzing the internal waves for the different possibilities, right? And where we can find those opportunities. That's what we like, right? Okay, so let's go through comment section, all right, and then we'll dive into the charts, of course, guys. King K, let's go, legend. Lot of love. Much love to you, brother. Smash the like button as you are here. Very true. King K, thanks for joining. Much love. Distance Music, how are you doing? Much love to you. I did jump quickly on Devil's live stream. The problem with the movement that we got today, on Binance, we did not claim this low. Okay, this one right over here, this wick. However, on Coinbase, on Bybit, and many exchanges, we did claim that low to complete a 5-wave move down. Binance did form a slight higher low right there. And I did see the comment of Distance Music saying, if you're not short from higher, you know, I think this is a good short position. Well spotted, Distance Music. I did read your comment on Devil's stream talking about that short right over here. Not bad, not bad. When you go with Elliott wave theory, naturally, of course, a 5-wave down potential and a 3-wave up, you know, it makes sense, right? Your target is the low. You can leave always a little bit open and protected. But very, very good. Good spot. Good spot. Nice. A Trader, much love, my man. Thanks for joining. Okay. Hello, Andy. How are you, bro? Much love. I'm doing good. Axikuno, hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing extremely good and happy and enjoying life, enjoying trading and analyzing and learning and spending time with your loved ones, friends, and family. This is why we're here, guys. We're not here for long, okay? We're not here for long. We're here for a good time, not a long time, right? King K, let's go. Matt, much love to you, brother. Hi, everyone. The short from yesterday turned out great. It did indeed. It did play out very nicely. One more for the books, okay? Smash up the like button. King K, let's go, legends. Path Maria, much love, legends. Path Maria, always joining the streams. Very active as well in the trading community. And on YouTube, of course, she's always here. She loves it. She loves to learn. She sees the potential. Much love to you. Nico Sopi, in the beats. Thanks for joining, brother. Hope you're doing well. Get your cup of tea ready, legends. I got my cup of tea right over here. It is cold tea at the moment. Not the greatest, but it will do. It will do. Smash the like button. Much love to everybody, okay? Buenas, Andy. Pablo Arroyo, vamos. Vamos para el infierno. Pablo Arroyo, good friend of mine here in Spain. Crypto Gardenist, how are you doing? Olivia, Alec, much love. Distance Music, much love to you. Daniel Singleton, smash the like, people. Okay, hit the like button, guys. Let's show our appreciation. Okay, let's dive in, guys. Enough talk, enough comment section. Let BTC go down to hell. Yeah, I'm in a position at the moment where I'm kind of not bothered of what happens aggressively. If we get an aggressive move up, right, I'm positioned. If we get an aggressive move down, I'm positioned, right? I'm positioned in both ways. Very similar position size. That is, you know, on BTCC. These trade setups, of course, this was in the trading community. This was on YouTube. It happened live yesterday. But in a decent short and a decent long, you know, profits have been taken. And also in the swing trading account, I am positioned on both sides of the market. So, you know, I'm you know, and they're very, very similar sizes, of course. Well, you know, I don't have one where I'm using 20% of the account and the other one, you know, 3%. Very, very similar sizes. That's how we keep it, guys. We risk very similar sizes in our positions. Okay, maybe a little bit more on one that we are confident. Okay, we stretch it to 2-3%, right, of capital. That's how I do it. And I'm kind of well positioned on both sides here. I really don't care what happens, but it is true that I am a little bit more bearish, guys, when we consider the higher time frame. You know, there is a bummer here where this range could actually continue a little bit longer. And there is no 1-2 here, and then a 3, and you know, there's no A, B, C, and 1-2, 1-2, and we break out here, right, in a wave 3 to tackle 76k, right, in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe the range continues, guys, which is, I don't want to go through that because it's very, very complex counting, and I think the people don't want to, they don't want to know that information. You know, nobody cares. Nobody cares of a sideways large complex WXY. People, you know, it's a bit of a headache. So we're going to talk about the internal levels, what I'm looking here locally for a potential day trade for in between today and tomorrow. Okay, that's what. Then we want the action, we want the trades. We don't want to know what's happening here. But if we go with the most aggressive scenario, is that you know, you have a completed three-wave structure here from the low at 60k to the top at 76k, right? We ain't going to go in detail here. And then you have multiple 1-2s, which is still valid, multiple 1-2s. Yesterday we were discussing the potential of this being a three-wave structure, right? This is why this day trade short that was given yesterday on stream, right? The plan that I was looking for to enter this short position that was explained yesterday on the stream has a possibility. I don't know. I'm not a genius. I don't have a crystal ball. I see possibilities, right? And understanding that this could be the high of this range that we formed throughout the last 2 months, right? Throughout February and March. This could be multiple 1-2s. And in a wave 2, you want to see a corrective structure. A corrective structure naturally would be a three-wave move, right? To the upside, most commonly, right? In a simple ABC zigzag. However, it could be more complex. It could form a sideways WXY, but apparently, you know, if we were to count the low of this movement to the downside, what do you have from this low, right? Is the music too loud? We'll turn the music a little bit lower here. What do we have from this low to this high? You know, it's a move up, a higher low, and another higher high. It's a three-wave move. What do we have from this low to this high right over here for the moment is a three-wave move. Yes, you can count this as a low because you could have a flat, you know, a wave X and a complex WXY and a zigzag here to the upside. Three-wave structure overall, and this is why we consider the possibility naturally forming lower highs here, that this could be the high. And in the next coming days, we get below this recent low, right, of last week, right, at 65k. There is that possibility, of course, of coming down there in the coming days. This is why yesterday, based on the local price action, you know, it's just, you know, we're so much aware that we could be finishing an impulsive move here to the upside, right? With a few 1-2s, right? A 3-4 and a few 4-5s. Really aware that double tops, levels of resistance are really need to be paying attention here because we are getting exhausted after the big move. And when you combine the price action of the last week, you know, hey, you know, this could be it. That could be the three-wave structure. That's it, guys, right? We're coming down in the next coming days. So far, the price is moving down, you know, throughout the last 24 hours. So, you know, this is where we need to concentrate our power and knowledge today to try and understand, you know, where the opportunities lie. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. Bullish case scenario. Yeah, bullish case scenario, preferably we form something corrective here. I mean, it is looking a little bit aggressive. Okay, we could be breaking down in a wave 3. This is why for the moment here I don't have any aggressive long trades. The supports are not insane. There is a weekly naked point of control lower at 66.8. We're at the point of control of Bybit's range, so maybe that has slightly changed. I think we can get that point of control out off the chart really now. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're coming down to the Bybit point of control. I think it is on Binance also, which is 68k. Really not considering, I mean, this point of control has been violated a few times. Really not considering this level as a good bounce, at least with the information that we have, because the main risk that we have here right now is the 3-wave, right, corrective structure, and we start moving down with multiple 1-2s, right? You know, we're looking for a possible wave 3 breakdown here. So I'm not a fan. I would need to see much more information here consolidating, because the risks are high at the moment. I don't see any long opportunity here. Very much aware of the breakdown. You know, couldn't care less about, you know, Bybit's range point of control over the last 2 months. You know, there is risk here of breaking down. And you may ask why, but we're at support, right? We're at the Bybit point of control. Shouldn't this get a bounce, right? I do understand, you know, people that only look at, you know, point of controls or daily levels or, you know, major support levels of confluence, and doesn't understand the wave structure, doesn't understand the price action, how the price moves, and the risks that there could be here, basically of not getting a bounce, right? Because anybody with simple knowledge, right, would just say, well, it's the point of control, right? And you know, I'm happy for this to hold. Yeah, it definitely can. It is the point of control, and you could get a bounce from here. But when you step into, you know, Elliott wave theory and understand how the price moves, there are some risks here. And that has to do with the bounce that we got from last week here, right? From those lows as a 3-wave that could be finished, and understanding the price action that we've had in the last 24 hours on that rejection, which could be multiple 1-2s here on the formation, right? Where, and it just ends up breaking down very aggressively, a few $1,000s, right, in the coming hours. So I don't like this zone, even though it's the point of control on Bybit and Binance, understanding the risk of the breakdown. So not a level that I would want to long personally. Okay. We really are gonna focus mainly on the local price action today, guys. 15-minute, even 5-minute time frame, and consider a little bit of the levels down here. We are at that point of control on Bybit. We could get that bounce. We'll be talking about this structure. What do we have here? Can we end up forming a corrective move here? Where would we have a corrective move confirmation to consider a long position, okay? And where we would be looking for this to be a confirmation of an impulse down, okay? Which, yeah, I'll be explaining that, of course, okay? I will be trying my best here to explain a little bit how do we look for the opportunities here, considering the waves, all right? And build something up for today, and hopefully, you know, get that opportunity, you know, in the next coming hours. Yesterday, you know, we don't always find a great setup on stream. You know, yesterday was a little bit of luck, right, that we did actually form something that I like to see on the chart, which was that exhaustion after the high volume move up. We got this 3-wave potential ABC or WXY finished. You know, we're pumping up here with multiple 1-2s, a wave 3, multiple 4-5s, you know, coming into close resistance. If we were waiting for that resistance at 70.9, we missed the short, so we consider the double top, because 4-5s literally form that, you know, double, triple top kind of formation, right? So we need to consider that double top, which it did, right, in the end, which was a great entry, right? Coincidence, it was happening throughout the stream, and that's how we executed. So no long, no short. Where we currently at, we're coming to that point of control on Bybit of the range. It could bounce, and it could absolutely slice through the level easily, because we have the risk of 1-2, 1-2, right? And it's just gonna, you know, high volume, you know, could kick in throughout the next few hours here with a breakdown. So, you know, when I consider, oh, they could do this, it could do that, you know, I just don't want to trade it, right? I don't want to trade it because I don't know what's going to happen. So what I would like to see to happen is going to be explained now, right? How the price could develop, based on the information. There's only certain scenarios that could happen with this information, and we build it up, right? We build it up. There's only certain ways that the price can move. What is unlikely to happen is that you're going to break down, you know, to go to $60,000, right? Or we get a massive pump from here, V-shape, and we go to 75K, right? You know, this is not going to happen. So I know what could happen, and this is what we try and build up, right? So bear with me here. We will be doing it from scratch. I have no folders, you know, we'll be doing it from scratch, counting the waves, looking at the support levels, and getting a plan ready, either for a long or either for a short. Okay, so smash up the like button if you are excited for that. Grab your cup of tea, you whatever you're drinking. And whoop whoop, Andy is live. Much love, Ross. Thanks for joining. No more recovery. Yeah, there is that risk of rolling down, I have to say. Charts look a little bit more bearish. Each time you say you don't want a long, and I long, it plays out nicely. That's my signal now. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, we are at a little bit of support. It's just not my plan, okay? Not my plan. Can we short here? I would consider shorting yesterday, right? At the double top, right? This is a short that was the main short, right? Not in a rush for any trade setups locally here. I will explain what I am looking for, okay? Got my coffee waiting for 66,800. Andy, what can kill BTC, Quantum or Orange Man? I know. Very, very good question. I guess both. I guess both has the potential. Not in the immediate short term, but long term, maybe yes. Shooting star candle on the daily yesterday. Let's go, legends. 100 likes. If we can get to 100 likes, that would be awesome now in the next coming minutes. Oh yeah, over 100 likes now. Absolutely awesome. Okay. Someone here said VPVN. You know, every time I say there's not an interesting long, he longs. So let's see how that plays out. You know, I know there is some risks here of breaking down. So hopefully you manage your risk, right? If you do have a plan, if you do have a good stop loss and you're managing your risk, you know, you can long and short wherever you want, really. So yeah, let's dive in through this price action. Okay, just a quick recap on based on the information that we do have from the lows of 60K, okay, on the 4-hourly time frame. With the information that we do have here, the bears have priority. The bears have priority to claim $60,000 at some point, okay, based on the information that we have. Just a recap for any new subscriber. Higher time frame, it is leaning a little bit more bearish based on how we have moved to the upside here, okay? This can be counted as a 3-wave corrective structure. There is a lot of detail here. Sideways, WXY double zigzag. Overall, you can count a 3-wave corrective structure here for the bearish case. But you also can count a leading diagonal, okay? Just a quick recap here on why the bears have priority to hit $60,000 for the moment based on the information that we have on the chart. And that is a leading diagonal has lower probability to start as a wave 1, right? Or a wave A in the bearish case scenario, which would be a 3-wave corrective structure, okay? Naturally to take up this high in a zigzag and then roll over. Leading diagonal has lower probability than a corrective structure, and we can count obviously a complex WXY corrective structure here with that bounce from $60,000. Just based on that, bears have priority. Now the bearish case scenario here, which I just want to check something here. Most bearish case scenario here would be having this movement to the downside as a wave 1, this as a wave 2, this another wave 1 right over here, and another wave 2, right? 3-wave structure. and things can get messy. Things can get messy very, very soon, right? To claim 65k, which is the recent low of last week. And that for the moment looks like what could be the scenario developing throughout the next coming days. So with the information given that we have from the 4-hourly time frame of the last 8-9 weeks, I would prioritize the bears at this moment to push down in the next coming days, right? This purely, then we will dive in through the lower time frame, but based on what we have, that's what we could be looking at, of course, to develop in the next coming days to at least take out 64.9k. Okay. Bullish case scenario, which is not looking great, because I mean we do have pretty messy price action here to the upside, would be that leading diagonal, okay, which is not great. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 wave down ABC. The low could be in here. The low could be this movement to the downside coming to that support, okay, at valley area low. We were interested in longs down here. I didn't catch this wick. I got into this trade last Thursday. That was the main long position. And long positions at the moment, I want to stay a little bit chilled on trying to long here based on the bearish case. So let's crack down on the lower time frames, which is what we need to do really here at the moment. Yeah, I mean it's looking more. I think bears do have a very, very good chance of breaking down. So what I would like to see here, something that was discussed today, I think potentially on Devil's Stream as well, and also inside of the trading community, the main discussion here, is this a 5-wave move down, or is it a 3-wave to the downside here? Some people, we're actually giving the chance of this being a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5 right here. We did not overlap from this pivot, so technically speaking, this would still be valid, even though you're getting really close here for the hard invalidation, which is overlapping your wave 1. Almost hitting the golden pocket, barely scratching it. So, I mean, could this be the impulse, right? Instead of looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could it be a 1, 2, 3? That's your 4th wave. And now you're developing your 5th wave here, which, you would be looking for the price to bottom out in this zone to get that larger bounce. I don't like this count. It's all about understanding the probability side of things, and for this to be the correct count, there is actually a bit of lower probability, and one of the main reasons why is that you hit the top of the channel, getting above of the channel, okay, when you connect your wave 1, start of your wave 1 and your end of a wave 2, you like your wave 3 to break the lower part of the channel. In this case, wave 4, get to the lower part or the center of the channel, and then create the wave 5, which it kind of did here, right? You kind of stepped out here from the base channel, you got the retracement to the center of the channel, and then you took the lows. So I would prefer naturally looking at this as the impulse down, okay? That for me would be a better count based on the information, instead of this being the wave 4 and now forming the wave 5 here. One of the reasons is you don't usually get above with the wave 4, okay, above the channel, okay? And that's something that's something that you take into consideration, of course, when you're looking at the impulse. So with that said, a little bit cheeky here, where we at. if this were to be the correct count to the downside, right? You say that we got this impulsive move down. If this is the correct count and we have the corrective move here, I would already label this as a possible wave 1 or a wave 2 or a wave A, right? And a wave B. Now what we would want to see in the bearish side is multiple 1-2s being developed. Okay, so I'm gonna label this as your wave 1 in the most bearish case, the wave 2 right over here, and now you have your wave 1 right over here and another small wave 2, or even an ABC flat here that could be on the formation. No, sorry, my bad. We hit the 1.618 for the B wave. That's too far. Okay, it's uncommon to form a flat if your B wave has hit the 1.618 extension. So I would already class this movement down as another wave 1 and another wave 2, potentially another wave 1, another wave 2, possible lower high, and ending up breaking down in a wave 3. This would be the most bearish case. Naturally, there are some other scenarios which we can look for a 3-wave corrective structure. However, I cannot see a solid impulsive move down unless we were to have a diagonal here. Okay, which, you know, in the bullish case scenario, it is without a doubt a possibility. It is a possibility to form a ABC here. I mean, the support that we do have down here is not insane. I don't have any major levels here to the downside to consider this. I mean, yeah, very aggressive double bottom locally, and that's considering the bullish case scenario. Not a fan here really of this price action. I mean, preferably we would see a break. You know, for me, for a long at the moment, I have to be clear here. I have to be clear. For me, for a long position, I would really treat this as the wave 1, wave 2, and we're looking for the wave 3, right? Wave 4 and 5 later on. What I need to see is an increasing move to the downside with high volume at some point here, like at least $1,000 of a move that really gets that breakdown with high volume. Okay, looking at the 15-minute, 30-minute time frame, you want to see that high volume spike larger than this one. Considering that I don't like the idea of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your wave 4 is, you know, spits out on the top end of the channel here, connecting your wave 1 and 2, which is not common. So I'm really considering on the most bearish case scenario that this is a wave 1, that's a wave 2, another wave 1 and 2, and maybe another wave 1 and 2 getting developed here. Which, with that theory, what I am waiting for is the price action to get a breakdown in a wave 3, right? At some point, get that wave 3. And that's the moment where we look for the same amount of 4-5s here to get developed on that wave 3. Then you get the larger 4 and the larger 5 for that bounce. Of course, you can look for a long position with this price action, of course. I don't know how we're going to come down into this zone, but this is where we do have some important levels of support when we consider a weekly naked point of control. That's basically at 66.8. You know, there is a major weekly naked point of control. That's from the price action developed last week. Major big high volume node last week here, which is turning into that weekly naked point of control. And that's where I would want to see the price action finish in that wave 3, right? Get a big move down. And then this is the zone that I would like to see that exhaustion. In the most bearish case, you know, this is where I would be looking for the double, triple bottoms, right? Not tops. Tops was yesterday. This is the zone where I would be looking for that double, triple bottom for that internal bounce to form either the wave 4 and then a wave 5, of course, claim the low again in the next coming days. Bullish scenario would be an ABC, right? Bullish scenario would be that ABC formation here. So where I see the long opportunity would be in this zone after getting that breakdown in a wave 3 and then getting, I want to see the increasing volume coming in on the chart and then getting the slowdown at major level of support. Major level of support, of course, is that weekly naked point of control, which could be interesting for a long setup, right? This is a plan, right? This is, maybe the price, gets a V-shaped recovery from here, which is very possible. We will explain that bullish case very, very locally, where, you could finish a 3-wave structure if this were to be an ending diagonal here, just formed now in the last couple of hours. Very, very possible. But, where I would be seeing the opportunity for a bounce is this movement down, okay? Big volume. You got a few 1-2 potential breakdown with high volume. You get that 4-5 to potentially finish your wave 3 or your wave C. This bounce is very, very likely to happen, okay? What we do not know is, do we get an ABC and the bounce is longer, or is it a shallow bounce, right, of $1,000 or so, right? Sweep up these recent lower highs. That's the setup that I would be looking for here between today and tomorrow. And then, we don't know. I don't know if it's going to form an impulse up, right? Or if it's going to form a choppy range correction and end up forming another low. So we have that completed impulsive move to the downside. But the opportunity here, sits at major support levels after getting a wave 3 breakdown and getting exhaustion at the support, such as, yesterday, right? This explanation is similar to the one that we had yesterday, right? Where we look to detect where the correction could finish and look where the impulse is starting, a few 1-2s, wave 3, a few 4-5s, reversal, right? This would be the same scenario, however, looking at wave 3, because you could form a wave 4 and a wave 5, but this might be a 3-wave corrective structure and you get a larger bounce in the next coming days. So naturally, where do we have the strongest support zone? I prefer the strongest support level until we do get that exhaustion after the wave 3, right? You get the wave 3 breakdown, high volume, and then you get the choppiness, right? 4-5 situation here, which naturally would be ideal to come into that weekly naked point of control to look for that double, triple bottom before getting that internal bounce that might be bullish. It might be bullish, or it might be a corrective move to finish that wave 4 and then get the wave 5, right? But the bounce, will likely happen if we were to get this kind of price action. So it's an intraday long setup. Could it turn into a swing and get a longer bounce? Maybe. That's if that is going to turn into a 3-wave corrective structure, right? Maybe it does get a longer bounce. So that would be the plan that I would be looking for. This could be a buy tonight. It might not happen. We might get a major bounce from here. So how can I detect that this is not going to be a bearish move down with multiple 1-2s, where you have your wave 1 finished here, wave 2, wave 1, 2, 1, 2, right, and breakdown? What would be a confirmation here? I'm going to break that down right away. What could be a confirmation for me here that this is an ABC, right? Because what we have now, what's the main issue with this current price action, is that, maybe the price does have a chance of getting a bounce here. Maybe it does. It is the point of control from Bybit, right? And Binance. It is that point of control. This is big boy support, right? Or it should act as big boy support, right? Major point of control of a range of the last 8-9 weeks. I would say, if you are feeling aggressive and you want to, wanted to long that local double bottom here, very, very locally, I would say, you got a chance. You do have a chance here. I like to label this movement to the downside as the completed internal 5-wave move down, 3-wave corrective structure. In the bullish case, right, if we were to get a bounce here, a big bounce in the coming hours, which is possible, I would label this as, if we suddenly get a major V shape here in the next coming hours and it gets an epic bounce, I would have to say, I would have to give an explanation of, what did we form here? What did we have? And, naturally with the 5-minute time frame information that we got, it would have to be some kind of an ending diagonal here where you do have a 5-wave move down from this lower high that we formed today, because you got the wave down, you got a bounce, you got another low here, you got a lower high overlapping that low, and a new recent low here. When we talk about potential, does it have the potential of bouncing here for it to be a 3-wave corrective structure? I could easily say, yeah, it has a possibility. Ending diagonal, right? To finish a C wave, and all of this ends up being a 3-wave structure. Multiple 1-2s do have, higher probability, but when you go to the 5-minute time frame, price action can form whatever, right? It can be easily an ending diagonal here. In that case, I would prefer to see confirmation, right? Unless you are a sniper and you're an absolute legend, getting an entry here on this local double bottom, I would class it as aggressive. But when we look for these double bottoms, right, when we consider an ending diagonal, of course, a wave 5, you can wick down that pivot, consider the long trade here. You can be very defensive, right? Maybe this could be the low. If you did enter that local double bottom, which not every double bottom or every double top is good, maybe this is the low. You do get a major rally here in the next coming hours. I wouldn't give this the highest probability, but I know that there would be a possibility. So, like somebody said here in the comment section, I said, I'm not interested in this long in this zone. That's me, of course. Could it bounce when we look at the technicals, Elliott wave theory, and the support, major support, which is the Bybit point of control, and Binance here at 68k. And when we consider Elliott wave theory, there is a way of counting this as a 3-wave corrective structure. In the most bullish case scenario, is this a wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, right? And we're going to start recovering from here and get a major move to the upside in the coming days. Technically speaking, it is where we would want to see a higher low. The moment you take out this higher low right over here, it ain't going to be looking good. This is like the ultimate confirmation. Not the ultimate, because this could be an ABC flat. It would be extremely long, but overall, taking out that higher low would literally confirm that this is very, very likely a 3-wave corrective move. In the bullish case scenario, we do have the 1-2-1-2 possibility, and where you would want to form a higher low here is really where we kind of at, maybe slightly lower. We're probably at the golden pocket at the moment. Round about the golden pocket. Golden pocket 7-8 Fibonacci is the last zone really to form a higher low here when we consider wave 1, wave 2, wave 2 here, as this is more likely sideways WXY. You can't have any 1-2s here. Very, very three wavy and choppy. And this another wave 1, and you know, literally wave 2 here, which golden pocket 7-8 is your last zone for the bulls here for a 1-2 1-2. You know, if you ask me, this is a good long level. You know, it is a potential bounce at this zone when we do consider Elliott wave theory here on the lower time frame. You know, yeah, this local double bottom was a little bit of a catch, where you could have finished a 3-wave structure here. You know, I have to say it is definitely possible. 5-wave down, 3-wave up, ending diagonal here, in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, the good trades are literally trying to catch here the 5th wave, regardless if it's an ending diagonal or if it's an impulse. This could be an ending diagonal, which you know, finishes that C wave naturally. So say that I didn't get into this long, right? Where would I see the next opportunity where I would have confidence that this is a 3-wave corrective structure, right? All of this is a 3-wave move down. If we can confirm, there is no confirmation that this is a 3-wave down at the moment. This is like really trying to catch the low of a potential 3-wave move, right? Finishing C wave in an ending diagonal. You know, there's definitely a chance here when we consider the confluence. Of course, it's the Bybit and Binance point of control, right? You know, there is something here as support. How can I confirm that this is a 3-wave corrective structure, right? That's the main question, because there's only 2 ways of getting into a major day trade to swing trade and having the projections to get into higher prices or lower prices if you're in a short. There's only 2 ways. You detect the 5th wave, right, of an impulse, or you know, a diagonal is also fine, right, where you have that diagonal. You detect that 5th wave and you short the 5th wave, right, or you long the 5th wave. Yesterday it was purely based on this could be the end of the 5th wave, right, and we could be looking for that pullback. If you detect that 5th wave, the common target is coming down to your 4th wave, right, with the short yesterday. You know, right over here, if you are looking to get into that trade, right, obviously levels of confluence does help. You know, this could have been I have to say, detecting the diagonal is on the 5-minute time frame. You know, this is really detecting the diagonal potential here, right? And the only thing that you have to get into this trade is kind of a double bottom, unless you have great confluence level, right? There is an invalidation for this, which would have been much lower eventually, which is the 1-to-1 from your wave 3, right? Invalidation for a contracting diagonal is the 1-to-1 of your wave 3, because inside a contracting diagonal, your wave 5 cannot be longer, right, than your wave 3. So when you consider, you know, getting into this long on the 5th wave, you know, there's only a couple of options. You know, option number 1 is you get that movement down and you look for the local double bottom here at your wave 3, right, where you do take out the low and you get a wick, like in this case on the 5-minute, and you execute that long as you get above it, stop loss beneath the wick, and you give it the possible projection. you start getting the bounce, you're making a 2-to-1 risk to reward already. Yeah, it's one of those areas that I would naturally be defensive if you got a good entry with your stop loss, and you know, potentially it could get a major bounce if this ends up being a 3-wave corrective structure with an ending diagonal. The other scenario to get into the trade is, you know, really trying to catch the lowest point. But you know, getting into an ending diagonal or a leading diagonal, in this case ending, of course, speculating on the ABC, you know, it's not great. You could, the invalidation is the length of your third wave, right? If you were to hit the 1-to-1, it's an invalidation. This no longer would be an ending diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If your fifth wave gets to the 1-to-1 extension of the third wave, you know, it's no longer an ending diagonal. So if you wanted to, you know, another way to get into the trade, which I do not recommend, because before an ending diagonal or a leading diagonal, multiple 1-2s, you know, come before that, and of course that multiple 1-2 would be, you know, ending up forming another lower high here naturally, right? And just ending up breaking down in a wave 3. So as I understand that, this usually has priority. Getting into an ending diagonal wave 5, if we are losing this recent low, it becomes a little bit dangerous, but this would be your stop loss. There's no more to it, right? If you're speculating on an ending diagonal to finish an ABC. Okay, so you know, your hard stop loss is the 1-to-1 from your wave 3 if you were to speculate to get in at the, you know, at lower prices here for a bounce, unless you have big confluence to treat it as a SFB. But ideal scenario, what I like always is a double bottom, right? If you double bottom from that, then it's an entry, stop loss at the low, and you would, you know, give that chance for the price to push up here. It's not an easy decision, an ending diagonal, to get in on the fifth wave. Okay, it's just not an easy trade, right? To get into, because, and the main reason why is because multiple 1-2s has priority. A 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 has priority than an ending diagonal finishing here. So, you know, unless you are very, very good with your risk management and you know what you're doing, which is, you know, I know what I'm doing when I'm looking for a trade, then you could enter, right? We would say here. So what if this is an ABC in the end, right? I missed, so let's say that I missed a good entry and I missed good risk management. I don't want to enter right now because my stop loss is getting a little bit wide, and you know, risk to reward is not looking that great. It's still, you know, the multiple 1-2s would still have priority for me. You know, would this be a good entry, a good setup to look for a bounce here, right? And maybe claim the highs of yesterday throughout the next coming days. You know, it does have a possibility. Let's leave it that way, right? It does have a possibility. Would I consider this a good entry? I would have considered more the double bottom, more aggressive, a bit more of better risk management. I wouldn't like to enter here, understanding that multiple 1-2s, regardless if it happens or not, guys, you know, it's understanding the probability side of things. It's more common to get multiple 1-2s and then a wave 3 and then 4-5s, right? And just a general impulse down, than either speculating on an ABC ending diagonal. I want to catch the fifth wave, right? There is that support. It's not a high probability setup because multiple 1-2s usually have priority. So with that said, if I'm not in a long position here, as explained, I would prefer for that long, the multiple 1-2s, get the third wave breakdown and then, you know, get that 4-5 down into the weekly naked point of control. That's the zone where I would be looking for a long setup. But what if we move up? I missed the long position. The price ends up moving to the upside very aggressively. How can I confirm that this is a three-wave corrective structure? If we were to get yeah, this is a bit of a bummer right now, because there is that scenario where you could form a flat here, which is yeah, it's not great. It's not great, because you know, I would say you have the three wave here to the downside, and if you do get that rally and claim this lower high, you would have that three wave correction, right? Confirmation, but that's not the case here, guys. I thought this would be a little bit deeper. An ABC flat does have a possibility here still. Okay, ABC flat. So regardless if you form an impulsive move here to the upside, it could still roll down very aggressively later on, because in an ABC flat, your C wave is an impulse. Okay, so you might think, well, this is a three-wave ABC impulse move up. I'm looking for the correction here to get into a long. And, you know, as you look to get into that correction, this breaks down. And this ends up being an ABC. So it's getting a little bit tricky here, unless you have a confirmation correction later on here after the impulse. There is the risk of an ABC flat. Right, one setup that I would like is, as explained, get the impulse down to the point of control. Weekly naked point of control would be ideal, stronger support, and finish that exhaustion here, okay, for that long bounce. Yeah, an ABC flat here is without a doubt a possibility, unfortunately, from that low to this high. Yeah, there's 1.618 was not hit. There would be a short setup if we do claim today's lower highs. Naked point of control all the way up here at 69.7. Just trying to come to the conclusion here for a possible short setup. Right. There is a chance for this still, naturally, even though if you do come up in an impulse, to be the wave 1, and instead of this being the wave 2 in that 3-wave correction, right, and we look for the price to form multiple 1-2s and end up losing the lows, which is what I would prefer really here, based on the probability side of things. You know, this would be the most common thing, right? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, and you know, it just ends up breaking down, right? That's what I would prioritize at the moment, based on how we started the stream. But if we were to get a major rally, you know, I would consider the ABC here, ABC flat, expanding flat, to take out these lower highs of today, and this would be an SFP zone. I do see the possibility between today and tomorrow to form that swing failure pattern if the price moves up impulsively in the next coming hours. You know, would class this as a potential 3, instead of the diagonal, it could be a 3-wave down also. I mean, this is really going on the lower time frame. But you can see move down, bounce, and another move down, which, you know, would be a 3-wave mover. Yeah, I would really consider this short position based on the higher time frame. So it doesn't matter, you know, this is all about planning the trades. Not extremely clear direction at the moment. I would prioritize the bears, but I realize that this could be an ABC, and you know, this ends up moving up impulsively. So we'll need a bit of more information between today and tomorrow to have a clear setup, guys. I like to trade the clear setups. Only 2 trades I got in was the Thursday trade from last week and the Monday, well, yesterday short trade from here, right? Which, you know, is a movement down of a couple of $1,000s. That's really cool. Main target here is these higher lows. I do have a plan for this. This would be a decent plan short, okay? Now, to detect this, to detect the possible short here, which would end up being a swing failure pattern from these highs that we formed today, is understanding the possibility of forming an ABC flat here, which, as explained, instead of this being your wave 1, wave 2, and then 1, 2, and 1 and 2, and you know, this ends up breaking down in a wave 3, we would have to move up in an impulse, okay? And instead of this being your wave 2, as explained, this could be your wave 2. ABC flat. What price needs to form is an impulse all the way up here, and it's our mission as a trader to detect that 5-wave move to the upside, just like we detected yesterday. The potential 5-wave move to the upside here, double top, is a good option. In this case, you would have to have that fast move here, looking at the 5-minute time frame, you know, recovering in the next coming hours, preferably a consolidation before taking out these local highs, because the wave 5 is where we want to get in on the short trade. If price forms, you know, let's say an impulsive move here and corrects, and then the price moves up, right, between today and tomorrow, you know, this could, you know, it could blast off, right? It's important for that impulse to happen between today and tomorrow, right? If in between today and tomorrow, if we form that impulse and we correct, and then, you know, if we were to move up like this, I wouldn't be interested in that short, realizing that, you know, this could be a 3-wave ABC. The movement needs to happen in an impulse between today and tomorrow max, which would generally be that a 5-wave impulse. It is important that that move, okay, the high volume move, does not take out preferably the highs here, and what takes out the highs is after the correction, to have a very sweet SFP on the wave 5, okay, for that speculation of the price forming that flat. In the most bearish case scenario, then, I mean, this would be good, right? Because we would be looking for a major rollover throughout the end of the week. So there is a very decent possible setup here, but it's all about detecting the setup, right? It's detecting that 5-wave impulsive move up, and realizing that, you know, maybe this was not your wave 2, and this is not multiple wave 1s and 2s. When we connect the price action, potentially, you know, you're forming a flat here. What do you need for that flat? Well, you need to see the flat. How do you see the flat? 3-wave up, 3-wave down, 5-wave up. Most commonly, you do take out the start, the end of your A wave, or the start of your B wave. And you know, at the end of the day, it's detecting the fifth wave, right? Today, you could have detected this double bottom as the fifth wave, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double bottom. It's very common to form a double bottom. Sometimes you get an expanded fifth wave, which is not, you know, it's not a common thing, right? Where you have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5 just absolutely shoots out. This is not a, it's not common to see a wave 5 that, you know, shoots out. And what is very, very common is that your wave 5, you know, ends up forming kind of a double top from your wave 3, right? It can be shallow, it can be a little bit extended and then rolls over, and commonly takes out the fourth wave, right? That's your main first target. And then if it turns out to be more bearish, then of course, you know, you could have an ABC, right? Just as yesterday with the speculation that, you know, maybe this is an ABC, guys, right? Maybe this is an A wave, B wave, C wave. It's one of those shorts that I would naturally want to maintain some open, because I understand that detecting this 5-wave move to the upside can be the overall end of the structure of last week's price action A, B, right, and C. So let's say, you know, for the bears, right, this is an ABC and this is a wave 1, and now it's all about, is it multiple 1-2s or a wave 1 and then an ABC flat? I do not know. I do not know. I do not know. I do not know. What I do know is that, yeah, I mean, this could have been the wave 1 over here. You got a 5-wave down, wave 1, 3-wave up, wave 2, wave 1, 2, 1, 2. You form another lower high, and you're breaking down here in a wave 3 in the next coming hours. That is without a doubt possible. If you did not short yesterday, I mean, we talked about this yesterday as well. If you didn't catch the double top yesterday, right? If I didn't catch the double top yesterday here for that short trade, what we need to see, and actually I do have it here, yeah, maybe somewhere here on the chart, where we basically explain this, right, as well. If you do not catch the absolute pico top, right, before rolling over, which is the detection of the wave 4 and 5s here, as explained yesterday, then your mission is to detect a 5-wave move to the downside and a 3-wave correction to the upside. And obviously, you know, you're shorting the wave C here, right? If you don't catch the highs, you need to catch the impulse. The correction of the impulse is where you need to look for to position yourself. And, you know, when we discussed about this yesterday, right, when we were rolling down, when you look at today's information, right, just look at today's information. Pivot high, pivot low, pivot lower high, pivot low, pivot lower high, pivot low. You have a 5-wave move to the downside, with your wave 3 being the one with the largest volume, and you do have a 3-wave move to the upside. You know, it is relatively shallow, and you weren't hitting major levels of resistance, really. You know, you didn't even hit the 50% Fibonacci, which is common to at least hit 50%. You didn't hit the previous day value area low. But this is when you would have guidelines based on, you know, if I want to get into this short position on this 3-wave corrective structure, you need to have guideline 1, guideline 2, guideline 3 for the opportunity. As this pullback was relatively shallow to consider as a wave 2, because a wave 2 usually, at least hits the 50% Fibonacci, but you also get slightly above 382 and it could be a wave 2. When I consider guidelines, in this case, I would really look at guideline number 1 is the wave 4 could be that kind of swing failure pattern. Your entry almost getting stopped out. If this ends out being a wave 2, you're naturally looking for the lows to be claimed. Lows is always a TP1, but ultimately, this could be a little swing trade for major more downside in the next coming days. First of all, the TP1 is the TP1, which is the low. The risk to reward here is also is actually good. Stop loss at the highs. As soon as you get below, you can see that recent little pump later on didn't quite get above those highs. So if your stop loss is in position above the highs, you would still be okay on this trade. Even though if you entered here, you get a little drawdown and then, overall claim the lows. I didn't get into this short, but I understood the possibility, inside of the trading community today, and saying, guys, this could really be the high right there, and we end up rolling over based on this scenario. I was preferring an impulse down and then a bounce, but without a doubt, this could be the high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, as you can see here, right? Very much understanding the waves and the structure. 1-to-1 to the 1, 2, 3, 6 of your A wave, ABC. Maybe this is the high. Maybe we're going to roll over from this zone already based on what we have on the chart. So I'm understanding that this could be the high today at 69.2k, and we end up rolling over, just giving the information and the analysis. By the way, if you want these updates and where we do talk about the setups, we do talk about the obviously the technical analysis and scenarios that we're looking for. The trading community is open for you guys. Okay, send me the word access and you can get a few months for free if you sign up throughout one of the affiliate links down below, guys. Bluffin, 2bit, they're great exchanges. They have incredible bonuses. 2bit right now with a 60.6k US dollar tether, okay, of wins that you have depending on your trading volume, depending on how much you deposit. You'll be getting more airdrops. 2bit, great exchange. You can trade oil there, different stocks, okay, and also Bluffin with ultimately great bonuses as well. Choose one, do a minimum deposit. I'll share the instructions. You get a few months for free inside of the trading community, guys. This is where we do daily updates and possible setups that we're looking for, such as myself and Devil, okay? Going back through this explanation, I think what's most important is the execution for people to actually. People have lots of doubts on where to execute and how to have guidelines and a strategy. Combining Elliott wave theory and levels of confluence. And if you were to ask me how I manage risk and how I manage my trade execution here, when I understand the possibility that we could very much finish a wave 1 and have a wave 2 here, I need guidelines. It is true that once you form an impulsive move down, forming a 3-wave corrective structure that SFPs from your wave 4 is actually it is common to see. So that would be the aggressive guideline number 1. The main reason why it's aggressive is because a wave 2 usually gets to the 50% Fibonacci, even the golden pocket, even the 7-8. This is the common zone for a wave 2. 382 is not too common, and 0.88 is also not too common. So it is aggressive. I didn't take the short. I'm happy from the short of yesterday. When you understand the probabilities, you can miss trades when when you're going through the guidelines, right? Because if you're very, very strict with the guidelines, just looking for the real best opportunities and levels, I'm going to miss a lot of trades, right? I'm not going to get into every single trade. I realize the rejection, But if you are, wanting to get into this trade, you need guidelines, right? You need a good, solid risk management. If you're entering here and you're targeting the lows, you're not having a stop loss above these highs. Risk to reward is crap, right? You want a good, solid risk to reward. And that would be your guideline number one, right? SFP from the wave 4. It's valid. It's aggressive, but it's valid. No matter how aggressive it is, your risk management is what needs to be in place. What if I were to get stopped out from here, right? Oh, the price ends up moving up. It stops me out. What a bunch of BS, right? Trading doesn't work. That you need to look for the next guideline. And the next guideline here, for me, preferably, as I prefer, high confluence levels, such as a naked point of control, which we do have from previous days price action, which is sitting at 69.7k, right? Approx. Value area low of yesterday. Can we consider it? It's all about executing the trade and being defensive. Because as explained yesterday, I wouldn't have mind of getting stopped out. I had another plan to short, guys. You remember yesterday. If we come up and take out those highs, I know what I'm looking for. I will consider another. This would be a quadruple top, right? It's still very valid because the highest move happened here, and it's very likely exhaustion to roll over. So I did take some profits on the movement down. If we would have got up and formed an SFP, or maybe stretch our legs, there was that value area high in the point of control, right? The plan. Anybody that followed yesterday, it doesn't matter, right? I have a shorting plan here on a double top. If we stretch our legs, I'll be looking for the reaction at the point of control and value area high, right, of the range of the last 8-9 weeks. If that breaks, then so be it, right? I'm not going to be shorting and adding to my shorts. I don't do that. I know I can get wrecked if I have that, that mentality and that way of trading, right? Don't want to do that. I've done that before, and sometimes it plays out, right? I'm adding to my short and then get a massive average price and then making insane profits, right, in the next few days. But when it doesn't play out and price really decides to break out in a wave 3, I'm underwater. I'm risking 20-30% of my account, and I'm getting wrecked basically. And that does happen if you have that kind of. That's not a strategy. If you like add to the position, because your ego is too big and you're confident, right? I mean, I think everybody goes through that stage in trading. Everybody, not a single person does not go through that stage. And when you do it and you realize that you're losing money, some people just throw the towel, and some people, such myself, I fix things, right? I fix it and I understand what I do not need to do. So you just have a plan. You have guidelines. You have a plan. Another double top here is fine. You double top, entry, stop loss. If that doesn't happen, and you break through the level, then I'm looking at the next level of resistance, right? Understanding that this is very likely the 4-5 zone to look for the rollover. So I'm in favor. The probabilities of getting exhausted in this zone is in my favor, right? Regardless if I catch the high or not. Coincidence that yesterday we were live, and the setup was given live, and the explanation. It was a coincidence, right? That it happened on live based on one of the strategies here to take that trade. But I don't like it. I know a lot of people are in favor of adding to the position and stuff like that. A lot of times it's going to work out, but when it doesn't, you're caught underwater, and it's just not it's not great practice, right? So anyway, going back through this, if I were to then we'll dive in through the strategies that the setup basically that I'm looking for between today and tomorrow. The new trades, we'll just do a little recap for people that are joining. It does. One scenario it could happen. You know, I'm more interested in longs at lower prices, and I'm more interested in a short. I mean, technically, preferably if we were to get up to this high. Okay. These are the areas that I would look for either a short or a long, depending on how the price moves. One of them could happen. Which one will it be? I don't know. You know, do we get up there or do we get down here as I want it to? Maybe not. Maybe the wave 3, if we were to roll down here in a wave 3, maybe wave 3 absolutely is you know, collapses. And we don't stop here and we range, right? We create the plans. A lot of the times, you know, one of the plans that are created here on YouTube does come to fruition, right? And we go through it on tomorrow's stream. But going back through this, sorry guys, and then I'll go through the recap on the setups. Is if we had, you know, understanding the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, the plan and the execution, right, which I think a lot of people need to know about, right? Risk management and trade management. It's a very big problem in the trading industry. Very, very big problem. Lots of TA gurus, right, will just be saying long here, short there, and you know, not going through the execution and then the risk management. Guidelines is what you need. Understanding the possibility of forming a lower high in this zone is definitely there based off a 5 wave and a 3 wave up. If this guideline fails, then you need to have some kind of guidelines here, such as the value area low of this zone or the naked point of control, previous day point of control, that is. Do they combine with Fibonacci levels? If they do, even better. In this case, they don't. Fibonacci is spread in between the levels. So you just have to really rely on the levels of guidelines. Okay, value area low, not of this range of yesterday, not that it's a major level, but you could consider it might have done this, right? And it gives you that short execution, if not the point of control, right? And you don't add to the position as the price is going against you. You know, you would get stopped out and then look for the next level, right? I mean, that's how I do it, guys, and it's pretty damn good. It does work. Price getting a little bounce here at the moment, trying to move to higher prices. I'm going to talk about the shorting plan that I would have. Being aware, obviously, of the bullish case. If I were to get into a new high probability short, we'll do the recap of the long and the short. Okay, this is the plan that I would be looking for tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, depending on how fast the price is going to move. But understanding the impulse down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, ABC potential coming down to the 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 3, 8, 2. That is from your wave A. Okay, potential wave A, right? Not hitting the 1.618. That's what you want to see in a B wave of a flat. Not hit 1.618. That's too deep. Form that impulsive move. Right, on the lower time frame, this might be your wave 1, you correct here, and then you form the wave 3 later on tonight, and then the 4, and then the 5, right, early tomorrow morning. But that's a kind of an SFP that I would be looking for that flat. Could you form a wave 1, 2, 3? It spits out from here, and then form the 4th wave above this pivot, and then you form the 5th wave coming into the naked point of control. Absolutely. That then would be my short trigger. You know, it's super important to have that wave 3 developed. If you don't have the wave 3 developed, these levels where you would, you know, I would consider the short do not come relevant I need the wave 4 so I can detect that the wave 3 is finished. That is, you know, this is talking about the ABC flat potential, right? Expanding flat. That would, you know, this would be like really confusing for a lot of people. It would be a little bit messy, right? You're breaking down, it looks bearish, then you suddenly pump up to 69.5k and everybody's like, you know, what the heck's going on, right? Where are we going? You know, and then, you know, the average Joe TA guys, right? We broke the trend line. This is bullish. I'm going to be long in here. Absolutely awesome. And then, you know, it just ends up moving down later on, right? And they say, oh, I thought we were going to take out the highs because we broke trend line and this is, you know, looks like a bull flag and all of that BS, right? And then you know, end up being trapped here and getting stopped out because you thought that the highs were going to be taken. However, me and you will understand that an ABC flat here is a possibility, and then we smack back down in the coming days. So, you know, if that is the case, it's all about detecting the third wave. Where is the third wave going to finish, and where will we start the fourth wave? Once the fourth wave starts is when you are ready for the fifth wave to execute that trade. And there's two major levels that I would consider here. The highs of the ABC, of the A wave, sorry, of the flat, and the naked point of control that we have from yesterday's price action. These would be the main two guidelines that I would use for the ABC flat. Now, our mission here is to have the wave 3 developed. And this is no BS, guys. This is how the price moves. It's how the price moves, right? You say, prove it to me. Well, you know, 1, 2, 3, big move. Wave 4, you got a bounce here. Wave 5, boom. What does wave 5 do? Boom, double bottom. You get the bounce, right? Yesterday, 1, 2, 1, 2. Wave 3, I want to see 4, 5, 4, 5. We got the last 4, 5, double top. It's how, you know, the price moves like that. You can't say it's BS because, you know, I can prove you every single movement, right, that we've had in the last week. That's how the price moves. Just for the people that say that Elliott Wave is BS and all of this drawing is BS, it's you know, we prove it here day and day, right? That it's not BS, it's how the price moves. So just for the people that say it's BS, right, we prove it here. Regardless if you know, the price action moves in the way that we want it to, you know, I'm just creating the plans, guys. You know, I'm just a random dude on YouTube that, you know, is providing his information and his strategies and his way of trading. So our mission here, basically, right, it would be, if we were to get a pump here and we're speculating on an ABC flat, is detect the third wave. We need the third wave to finish, because after a third wave, what is common is obviously the 4 and 5. You know, will that happen or not? I don't know, guys. You know, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe we're all down from here, which is also a scenario. But if we were to move up here, right, just we need that high volume move. Well, where will this high volume move, this big move with high volume, where will it finish? The good thing about this is I don't need to know. You know, how great is that? I don't need to know where this wave finishes. It's where it finishes where I will see it on the chart, where I'm interested later on the wave 4 and then the fifth wave. The fifth wave is where I'm interested in looking for the shorts. I don't need to know where this ends. This could end here, form the fourth wave here. It could end all the way up here and form the fourth wave here, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what I'm interested is in the next leg up. This is my guideline. We form that fifth wave up into this zone. I'm gonna short this bad boy. I know what I'm looking for, and I'm going to short it hard, right? To smack back down to the lows. ABC flat is what I would be projecting. Naturally, if we do get that movement down, I'm already making a 2-to-1 risk to reward. I'm going to be defensive on this trade to minimize risk. But if we do not stop here for the fourth wave, and we form the fourth wave above this pivot high, then it's the same thing. Looking for the fifth wave, preferably at a good level, which is the naked point of control. And that's where I would, execute the short. And this would be, this would be absolutely awesome to happen, because the bulls are going to expect the highs to be taken here as we get that momentum. But this has a very, very good chance of being the high, right? And rolling over in the next coming days once that happens, of course, if it were to happen. And where's the short execution then? Well, it's on the reaction, the wave fifth rejection from that naked point of control, right? Which is yesterday's point of control, by the way. This one right over here. And that would be my execution on that wave 5. Targeting obviously the wave 4 first of all, right? I'm making a 2-to-1 risk reward. I'm already being defensive. Ultimately looking for a major rollover if it were to be an ABC flat. Okay, so not that anybody asked that question here on the stream, but just keeping the education point, right? Because people would say we got oversold RSI here, and I'm looking for a short because we are overbought. You can see I can't use this indicator. I'm saying oversold at the highs, right? Overbought RSIs, right? I'm looking for a reversal. I'm going to short from here, right? But which is the level? Which is the zone? And how, which wave is going to be the one that rejects? Or we have a green dot, right, on the money flow on market cipher B, right? Which is the level that's going to reject? How are you executing the trade? Somebody might just say, I'm just going to enter here, stop loss at the highs, right? And that I like to be a little bit more technical and a little bit more special to execute the trade. But it is true that I will miss many trades, but I get into the good trades, and that's what I'm really more interested in, right? Yesterday was a very good short trade. If I'm making a few $1,000s on this short, I'm happy for the week. Making a 4 or 5K for the week, that's absolutely awesome. I'm in no rush to get into a new trade. I want to preserve that capital, and I want to make another $5,000, right, in the by next week, right, or throughout the end of this week. Whereas I'm want to be very, very selective with the setup that I want to get into, which naturally, I am going to miss many trades, right? A lot of people saying, you didn't short here, you didn't long here, I told you this was a long way. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't really matter. I want to continue with my green months, right? Anyway, everybody's different, guys. As I just explain how I trade, which works. It does work. So so you've seen right over here, right, when we do explain that possibility of an ABC flat, you might think Andy said an SFP from here, but it's important to detect the third wave finish. Okay, how do you know that a third wave is finished? Is on a retracement, right? On a usually shallow retracement for your wave 4. So it happens here or it happens here. If the wave 3 stretches out, it doesn't really matter. You got the levels, you got the scenarios, the projection. I understand that this could be a 5 wave down, ABC flat, and roll over later on. I would be happy to treat this as a day trade to swing. Just like yesterday's short setup, we can treat it as a scalp day trade, get a movement down, collect a little bit of profits here. This is ultimately the TP2 zone, right? It's nice to get some decent profits down here. It is the common target, but we don't know if this is going to be corrective and move up. But I am interested in maintaining some of that short trade, understanding the higher time frame that this could be a 3-wave corrective structure, and you forming a wave 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You know, you end up breaking down very aggressively in the coming days, right? So, anyway, for a long setup, it would have to be tomorrow. Basically, the highest probability long setup would really come tomorrow for me. And the main reason why is because if this ends up being a ABC, as explained, with an ending diagonal, you know, what can we do, right? That impulsive move up, I am looking for that potential short on the 5th wave, the corrective. If we do correct, right, after forming that impulse, you know, by tomorrow potentially, then it's all about detecting the high probability correction. You know, then I would say if this is correcting down, this has the possibility of a 3-wave down, impulse up, and you are correcting down and you're not moving down aggressively, potentially we can detect that tomorrow inside of the trading community. But I would be looking for a long position to take out the highs here at 70.4k. Maybe obviously a little bit higher, but that would be the first TP level. But we'll try and detect that tomorrow if that is the case. If I did enter the short, then naturally we'll be getting into a TP1 once you get in below the 4th wave, and then depending on the information that we see tomorrow, you know, we'll probably detect if it is not really rolling over aggressively. Or guys, this is looking corrective. Where do we have an entry? Where do we have a stop loss? Where are we targeting? Naturally, we would be targeting the highs, mainly on this setup. And we need that information tomorrow. That would be a long setup to confirm that this is likely a 3-waver. Your impulsive move up ends up correcting, okay? And long setup should be looked at once you have that corrective looking structure. On the other side, where I would be looking for a new long, if it's not tomorrow and it is tonight, is as explained at the beginning of the stream. If this is a wave 1, wave 2, we got another wave 1 and 2 here. We got 3 1 2 potentials, 1 2 1 2 1 2, wave 3 breakdown, and then the 4 5s, of course, preferably coming into a level of support here. Which is that naked point of control, weekly naked point of control, that is, which is from last week's, rangy area. So we need that breakdown with high volume, and then the choppiness here. That's where I would be looking for double bottoms and that reversal bounce. And at the end of the day, that could be your wave 1. And then you correct bounce here in the coming days, and this is your higher time frame wave 2. And obviously what you're looking at is ending up breaking down at the end of the day, right? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2. You're just forming your first wave 1 and 2 from your wave 3 here, right? That goes down to 60k. But we will be looking how to detect this in the coming days. But the best internal long to catch the low as we moving down here would be in this zone, but we need to see a slowdown based on the information that we have here, because here for the moment what I can count is 1 2 1 2 1 2 in this zone that we have from yesterday's highs. So naturally we would have to see a high volume move down, and then the 4 5 4 5, right, coming into this zone of support. This will be used as a guideline. Double bottoms is an option once you get that first little bounce on the lower time frame, or an SFP could be an option as well from this higher low with literally the value area low of this trading zone, right? Well, no, my bad, that's not true. Yeah, I wouldn't consider this as value area low. But if price were to move down with high volume, it's getting the exhaustion at the weekly naked point of control and this higher low. These would be two guidelines that I would be looking at either tonight or tomorrow morning and sharing it inside of the trading community, depending on how the price develops. Today, inside of the trading community, very much aware that we could have formed, that lower high today. Very much aware of this being the lower high, based on the impulse, right? Very, very much aware that, we could have, seen this, the plan overall, if you didn't get into this short, is, have that impulse down and get into this bounce already, for the short. But I mean, this bounce was also quite shallow, but very much understanding that, maybe this is the high and we roll over. We will be detecting new information, new setups inside of the trading community in the next 24 hours, I would say, because there is a plan down here for a long. If you get that move down and the choppiness, there is a possible long scenario. There's the long short scenario, okay, and an impulse move up to take out 69.2 lower highs of today, ABC flat potential to roll over tomorrow, maybe. It's all about detecting it, manage risk, good execution. We provide the analysis, setups, education. It's open chat as well. We've got an open chat for anybody that wants to tag in and to ask questions. If you want to join, you got the word access to send to me right away on the Telegram, guys, and you get a few months for free if you sign up to Bluff in 2-bit. Great exchanges. You've got a few options down below. Great bonuses on these exchanges. 2-bit is great. 2-bit is very well known nowadays. You can trade stocks, oil, Bitcoin, and many cryptos, of course, and you got the greatest bonuses available when you use the link. If you do a minimum deposit, you get a few months for free to enter the trading community, where you have guidance, you have the setups, you have the analysis from myself and Dylan, also absolutely crushing it with some altcoins these last few weeks. So yeah, it's just an open community for you to, expand, right, with your trading journey. Anyway, let's go through the comment section right away. Happy in the short, great profits. The week started absolutely great, and I want to, continue with a good week, right? And as a trader, I want to preserve my gains and look for the best quality setups, right, at the end of the day. So much love to everybody. Let's go. DM Andy the word access, says a trader like an absolute legend. Thanks for the support, buddy. Much appreciated. Andy, the 4 hour is clear. I know distance music. I know you are bearish. Okay. I know you are bearish. I know you are very bearish, matter of fact. Okay. So the 4 hour is clear. I mean, yeah, we broke the trend here. Only joking. Yeah, 4 hour. 4 hours is more bearish, guys. What can I say? The bears do really have priority based on the higher time frame information, and it's just what we have basically. As distance music saying 4 hour looks bearish. I am planning along from around 67.2. Just still not sure if it can take the highs and get to 71 or just create a lower high already in a short from 70.2. It's nice to collect profits. It's nice to at least secure some good profits and leave part of the position. Everybody is free to leave for 30% open, 40%. I like to at least take 50% out and then leave a significant chunk, because if you move lower, in this case if you're in a short, I am positioned long as well. I mean, this is I'm hedging right now. I'm in very good 2 hedge trades on the swing trading account and the day trading account. Just really very well positioned. Long from the lows of the range of the last few days, short from the highs of yesterday. It's just a very good position to be in. And the same position size. So, once the highs is taken, I'll be collecting more profits from the lows, from the long trade. And if this low is hit, I'll be collecting profits from that short trade and leaving, of course, some position open for a breakdown, right? Or a break up. What a spike on Coinbase. Did we form a spike on Coinbase? What? Wow. Oh, wow. What? Is that only on Coinbase? Oh, wow. We got a Coinbase spike here out of nowhere. That is actually pretty rare. That means that there's been somebody market ordered on spot very aggressively in the last few minutes. Anybody that has curiosity of a major wick on a spot exchange, in this case on Coinbase, is because somebody bought millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin just a few minutes ago. Maybe not even that much, but I would say at least a few million. At least a few million. Few $1 million worth of Bitcoin bought on spot on Coinbase in the last few minutes. We probably get a flat. Rival, yeah, we probably get a flat. Maybe this is the flat scenario. I don't like these wicks. They are disturbing. So we might be analyzing on another exchange for a few days. But the flat scenario is a very, very good option here. It is a good option. And it will just confuse people. But I have a plan. We have a plan. We need to understand how we get up there. This is a guideline. And the point of control is a guideline. Okay. Anything above, anything traded above, there's no short, right? We'd just be looking to claim the highs. And any reaction at one of these levels, be it the point of control of yesterday or a double top from this pivot. This is a good double top, as explained, because of the flat. And then obviously look to claim the recent lows. Plans created. Let's see what happens. Always get cleaned before continuing direction. Wick of Destiny. Already on long position on Ethereum. 2078. That's Michael Saylor. Yeah, buying a bit of more spot. maybe. Who knows? Someone fat-fingered. Absolutely. Someone fat-fingered to buy some Bitcoin on Coinbase. Maybe a couple of hundred Bitcoin. Anyway, legends, thank you very much for joining. Yes. Devil Trading is here. One of our excellent coaches. An absolute legend. He does the morning live streams looking at the different possibilities and scenarios. Great trader, great educator. And this is why we've joined forces. Devil is amazing. Shout out to you, Devil. Much appreciated. Just banned some salty people. Thanks, Devil. We always get a bit of salty people. It is what it is. Yeah, maybe this guy. Super CBM also here. Where's CBM? Crypto Matia. Much love, my man. I miss you. Miss our tennis games. You guys know I moved away from Dubai. It wasn't my cup of tea, and I don't need to be there, so I left. I don't like Dubai too much. I'm a guy that likes nature and likes Spanish vibes. Had some good friends there, such as CBM. We played tennis every Friday. Make sure to go and check him out, guys, if you don't already. Great swing trader, great providing value, news, higher time frame TA. Yes, it does. Don't think trading works. Then why are you watching? Yeah, I mean, if trading doesn't work, then we wouldn't have profitable months, right? If trading doesn't work, then P&L would be in the red, right? P&L wouldn't grow, right? If trading does not work, then we wouldn't have these, P&Ls, 30 days, 90 days. I have no issue in sharing, guys, the P&Ls over the last few months. It's just, it is. As if this wants to load. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Nobody cares. Steady growth. 90 days. It does work. It's just, you need to be good. You need to be very solid. Have your plans. Have very good risk management. Very good risk execution. It does work, right? I'm just reading this comment from somebody from CBM. Yes, it does. If you don't think trading works, then why are you watching? It's very difficult, guys. Trading is something that is very, very difficult, and not everybody is good at it. If you are going to get good at it, you need experience. You need a lot of years of working on your setups, your risk management, your levels, learning very good, solid technical analysis. And it's very personal. You work on, you work. It's a personal thing, right? That you need to work on. About your risk management, your strategies, trade execution, how to collect profits, how to protect position. And don't get greedy. It's a slow game, okay? Making hundreds of % a month is not going to work if you go that aggressive. Okay, it's a very slow, steady game. But it definitely does work. I can prove it. Anyway, much love. What doesn't work, what hasn't worked for me, is buying some altcoins. Some altcoins, I got more wrecked this cycle with buying some altcoins than trading, guys. I made more money trading. It's a reality, even though, I do get that a lot of people don't like trading and say, be careful, it's dangerous. It is dangerous, but you need to go through the learning curve, right? What not to do and what to do. And hopefully we do provide great education. We provide good setups. We share how you can read the charts using Elliott Wave theory that myself and Devil like very much, and prove that you can get into these entries and manage risk, right? This is overall the target that would be ideal. I mean, this is it's over a 5-to-1 risk reward trade. And I didn't get into a new trade setup today. I'll probably get one in maybe tomorrow, right? If things align as I want them to align. It's just you need to have passion for it, right? You need to have passion. A lot of people saying, I haven't got time for all of this, but hopefully you do put in the work. You do get educated with the right people. I would say that we are right people. I can share a track record, and I can, you can see that the strategies work. It's just finding the correct people to learn from, right? And with a lot of sweat and a lot of hours of understanding the charts and trade execution and risk management, you will, if you put your hours and your dedication, you will end up being a successful trader. There's no doubt about it. But if you're gonna maybe this, maybe that, then not, right? Then not many people put the dedication in, and especially nowadays, where the attention span, right, of a lot of people are very, this is why we create these shorts on YouTube, and people want fast things, right? They don't have time. It's getting more difficult for people to learn properly. But I know if you do put the hours and you learn from good traders, then you will succeed, right? So yeah, Dubai is soulless, says Anthony. Yeah, well, it is actually, it's pretty fascinating how they built this city, and everything works very well. I mean, naturally, there's the pros and cons, right? Some people say slavery, some people, I mean, I just don't like it. I don't like the air quality. Some people are good, some people are not. I'm born and raised in Spain. Spanish is my first language, and if you've been to Spain, you know that Spain is a great country. I know maybe the politics and the government and tax is not great, but what is great is the life here. Life is great, and I couldn't be happier living in Spain. I wasn't that happy in Dubai. I left, I was living there. The first year I gave it a chance, and then on the second year is when I said, this ain't for me. I wanna be back with my people, right? Spain is beautiful. Distance music. Bye now, says Octavian. Yeah, guys. Much love to everybody. Much love. Chichan, Hyperliquid, and Tau have outperformed everything throughout the last months since October crash. Interesting. King Kai, gracias. De nada, amigo. Much love to everybody. Okay, I've explained a little bit of the plans that I'm looking for BTC. They might come to fruition in the next 24 hours. I'll be, paying attention to the charts to see if we move as I want it to move and get to the major zones of interest, either for a long or a short. And if I do see that and I'm around, trading community inside of the Telegram will be aware of that. Devil mainly is focusing on the community tomorrow. Today's been relatively slow. I mean, the only major opportunity that Distance Music did spot inside of the Devil stream. If you're not short now from yesterday, then I would short now, she said. We did end up rolling over from here. A bit slow today. No new setup that I got into, but hopefully we do come to the levels of interest, and probably get a setup between today and tomorrow. Let's see. Much love, everybody. Thank you very much for joining, smashing up the like button. Hope you enjoyed the education and the scenarios that I'm looking for the intraday setup. Much love. De no vivir en México, solo viviría en España. Saludos, Andy. Verderi. Much love to you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I will see you tomorrow.